Hello, patrons. It's February 6th, 2018. This is your Cup of Jones. What's up, everybody? Let me know if everything looks okay, sounds okay. It seems like we are doing well. I raised the levels for the microphone. Might have to lower them, actually, because it looks a little hot. I didn't want it to be too loud. But I noticed we turned it down. I think it was the Huber effect. We turned the mixer down just a little bit. Sounding okay, looking okay. Not going to be too loud today. Not feeling great today, I'll be honest. I know you're not supposed to say that you're feeling good. But that's the thing about Cup of Jones. This is a financial patron meeting, officially. This is me reporting on what we are doing with your money every week. And I'm not feeling well, so I'm going to be honest about that. I may bow to the group stream tonight. I don't know. We'll see if I feel better. What will the group stream tonight be? Most likely Dragon Ball FighterZ. I haven't checked this morning, but I was up late last night and checked. Last time I checked, it was like 34% to 32%. 32% was the Dreamcast Fancy 15, which is our replacement for First 15. I love Fancy 15 because we swapped all of our show titles immediately within Easy Allies. So Huber Hype became Huber Syndrome, Trailer Score became Trailer Jones. I might steal back Trailer Score because we haven't met our goal. We met our goal and then dipped below it. So when we get up there, I'm tempted to just call the damn thing Trailer Score again. But we changed all our names just to be safe. Turns out at the end of the day, IGN picked up all the rights to the game trailers. I'm assuming the game trailer stuff with the acquisition when they got all of the content, and so. Doesn't seem like anybody really cares about those show titles, but I love that we still stick to new stuff. And so the First 15 became the Fancy 15. And fun behind the scenes work here at Easy Allies, when it came to the concept of doing the Fancy 15 for the Dreamcast, we were all like, uh-oh, does anybody have Dreamcast games? And I'm actually curious to see, I'm going to leave it up to chat here on YouTube to guess which ally came in with the clutch library of Dreamcast games. I think only about 5 or 6 of us had weighed in, so I'm not necessarily saying all of the allies. Dawn might have a killer Dreamcast library, but I don't know. Someone who's not Dawn. The other, no. Jojo Danko says Blood. No. Ulf Chan says Huber as the second guess and is correct. Michael Huber apparently has a mean Dreamcast collection that he was about to pick up, but we might not need because it looks like we're going to be playing Dragon Ball FighterZ tonight. Unfortunately, this would be the Ben Moore night of all group stream nights. Ben Moore is going to be away on assignment this evening, and so unfortunately Ben will not be around. Full warning. Very, very clear warning. It was Sophie's birthday yesterday too, by the way. I saw somebody mention Sophie in chat. I just got my allergies are kicking up, so I might have to do some sneezing today. And I wish this mute button actually worked on the blue microphone right here, because I could save you all, but the mixer is too far away. So I'm going to try to back away from the camera. Back away from the microphone, more specifically. I gotta say, before we get into feedback, and I'm gonna do feedback as fast as I possibly can this week, the poll ended in a tie? Oh boy. Alright, we'll figure that out. I haven't, I'll be honest, I haven't looked at Slack that much this morning, so I don't know if that was a debate that's already been figured out. But it'll be one or the other. My morale for Easy Allies, despite the fact that I'm not feeling well today, is very high. It's a nice rush of Easy Ally stuff going on right now. First and foremost, I've been doing more work than I've done in the last couple months on the Souls retrospective lately, so that will be finished up most likely in the month of February. Not going to use the word promise there, because as I found with working on this big part retrospective, it is very difficult to fit into my schedule, and a lot of things have to go. Thankfully, January and February are slow months, and I'm looking to review Metal Gear Survive, which comes out on the 20th of this month, and then Sea of Thieves is next month. I want to be involved in that. And so there are some projects that I would like to be involved in that could possibly get in the way of working on the retro, and so I'm trying to get it all wrapped up. But most of the work I've done on Part 4 is finished, so I've moved on to Part 5 to give you a little update on how those are going, and I want to finish both of those parts before you get anything, before you see anything. I want to have 4 and 5 done. So it was nice... moving away from 4, that felt really good, and it was nice getting into the rhythm of 4, and it was interesting, you know, playing watching someone play Demon Souls and Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, watching Brad Ellis specifically, the wonderful Brad Ellis, and these gameplay stylings. He's very good at those games. He's way better at Bloodborne. It was fascinating watching him take somebody down in Bloodborne in like 5 seconds. But I've never played Demon Souls or Dark Souls 2 to completion. I think I played Dark Souls back at Game Trailers. I think we streamed that. But I know we streamed a Souls game. I think it was the first Dark Souls. It was fascinating watching him playing Bloodborne, which I've played several times, and all of a sudden he would take a left, and I'd be like, where are you going? And there'd be some secret room that I didn't even know. Because I didn't, like, have a strategy guide, I didn't look up a lot of videos and stuff like that. I just kind of wanted to absorb that game. So retros are kicking right now. We figured out in January what we want our next retro to be this year. Again, I said there's a project I want to work on, so I feel good about the future of retrospectives in comparison to how I kind of botched them in 2017. I'll take the kind of out. I will retcon that kind of. Definitely botched the Souls. But we also got a Box Peak reveal trailer, finally. You guys got to take a look at Box Peak, and you got to hear that amazing song that Phantom NK wrote. And we actually have a question about it coming up, but I'm so excited about that. I knew the writing was going to be good. I know that show's going to be funny. I know that show is going to be prepared for the animation that will bring it to life. But I didn't know a lick about what the animation was actually going to look like until I saw that video the same time all of you saw it. Amanda nudged me in the morning and then like handed her YouTube her YouTube over, her phone with YouTube on it, and I was like, oh, Box Peak. So yeah, again, I'm lined up like the rest of you, awaiting every announcement with bated breath. And there is a Game Sleuth actively in video production right now, so that's very fun. So Game Sleuth's coming, Box Peak's coming, Retro's coming. A lot of fun things to kick off 2017 before we get into our second year, and maybe, you know, pitch to you and talk about to you some fun things we want to do this year. The same or differently than we did last year. Brandon K. Gann kicking off feedback. I know you're trying to feel out more details about the anniversary, and I wholeheartedly, all caps, agree with your statement from last week about keeping stuff close to the vest. I'm paraphrasing, of course, for surprises. But will we know what the theme for the anniversary will be next month? Will it be another concert or something else entirely? I know I won't be able to attend, but knowing what it is would still be nice. Also, is it safe to assume that you have announcements? You will have announcements as well, like you did for Don't Skip and the Souls Retro cough cough. I know a simple no comment at this time seems likely, but I couldn't help to ask. No, I'll give a comment. Hell, I'll give a venue. Because we've actually put money down on the venue. The thing is, the venue is associated with many different departments at the University of Southern California. We're going to be meeting at Tommy's Place. It is a student... mostly like student function place, but they also have like private events there. It's fascinating. It's right next to a bar and diner. But unfortunately, because we want to sell tickets and we want people under the age of 21 to be able to attend the event. So we're not going to have food, we're not going to have beverages, and we're not going to have alcohol anywhere actually like inside the venue. We're going to be right by downtown LA and right by USC. And so there's going to be a lot of fun. It's a college town, so there's going to be a lot of fun things. For the most part, didn't go to USC, so I haven't, got to do my research on an official place if we want to plan another event down there. But you can look that up. It's fun because technically it's hopefully will work a lot better than the venue we had last year. So hopefully it'll look better, sound better. And Brandon, even though you will not be there and you weren't there for the announcements like Don't Skip and stuff that we did last year, we will hopefully be streaming it this year. That's the plan. That's what we're signing up for. So I'm just, again, waiting to get approval back. I'm not even kidding. I got to talk to like 12 different departments at the school. I got to set up a meeting with one person. I got to, send forms to another person. I got to check in with updates with another person. So it's just like wow, I'm back in college all of a sudden. You need to submit this in triplicate to the office of bathrooms. No, but it's kind of like that. But yeah, it'll be, I'm 99% sure it'll be called Easy Allies in Concert again. Not Easy Allies in Concert, the sequel. It'll be a variety show like we did last year. Some people are trading their live performances for videos. You might see a little bit more video production this year than last year. But I'm going to try to think of as many ways as we can drag people's butts up on stage, get people to perform a little bit. Move them as far as possible out of their comfort zones. Anything else we can say about the anniversary? Yeah, it'll be live. It'll be at Tommy's Place. It'll be musical. Bradley Lewis. Lots of people talking about soundproofing background noise, which is understandably frustrating because real sound reinforcement is an obvious investment you don't want to make in a temporary space. One suggestion I can offer to attempt to at least shore up some complaints would be to take a look at the iZotope RX6 program. That sounds like weapon defense. It's awesome. Even the lowest version of the software, RX6 Elements, has some amazing de-hum and de-noise algorithms that could kill some background noise with a quick pass. It's a very intuitive program, easy to use, and comparable with Premiere. So yeah, Bradley's probably talking about on the back end. Again, we do that in sequence while we're exporting stuff. Maybe I can get Ian to take a look. I've been known to botch some settings on my own when left to my own devices, but hopefully in concert, the concerting. Sure. The name for our sequel to our 1-year anniversary. But yeah, we could do that on the back end. One thing that's been fun is we did some audio testing for live. We're attempting to run all of our sound and the mixer through a processor before it gets to XSplit, where we stream from. So, oh, my nose is on fire. You know that tingle? Not the tingle from Zelda, but the tingle like up in your nose where it just lights a match. You're like, I'm trying to read some questions. But thank you, Bradley. I'll look that up. I put that on my takeaways for this month. Corn Fan. Feels like the Souls Retro missed the plan date so far. Now it's been pushed to the lowest priority. I'm assuming you had a plan for it, but that isn't something we've been told about. What do you when do you expect to get the final 2 episodes out? This month. Luis Sandiford, regarding multi-person streams, have you considered using Mixer? It allows essentially simulcast, so you can see things from each player's perspective. Perfect for games like Sea of Thieves. Great example. We have been looking for solutions to the issue of wanting to show as many people as possible when Sea of Thieves comes out. I believe that's March 20th, which is right before our anniversary, which should be interesting. It's interesting that it's that week. We are going to do a mega stream that week. It'll probably be around 6 hours instead of like 12 hours. But we will be doing a special stream the week of our anniversary. And I think it's... I think it'll be time to stream some Sea of Thieves too. So we'll look into that. I mean, one of the obvious things that we want to not do is go somewhere that our wonderful audience on Twitch and our wonderful audience here on YouTube that we're streaming with, and of course our wonderful audience on Patreon, because you could very much be watching this on Patreon. There might not be a Mixer, and so we don't want to jump ship, to that completely. But for something like Sea of Thieves, that should definitely be an initiative for them, and I'm just curious to see how it runs on it. You say Mixer and Sea of Thieves, and I think of E3, where literally the Mixer booth and the Sea of Thieves demo stations were like right next to each other. So, Jesse, I wanted to know if you have thoughts about advertising Easy Allies in some new ways. Some things could be as easy as posting your reviews to gaming subreddits on Reddit to be more elaborate, or perhaps expensive things like paying for advertising through websites or other YouTube channels. We have considered it. It's tricky because most of the estimates that we've done for investment, I mean, the posting stuff totally makes sense. I mean, that would be definitely something Bloodworth would cater to. I'm surprised Bloodworth didn't respond to that question, because he's usually like, tried it, did it, doesn't work. But that's his attitude. That's how Bloodworth sounds. But yeah, the subreddit, put that on. Just a moment. Takeaways. Review subreddits. But yeah, a lot of the times that we figured out how much money we would spend on something versus how much we would get back, don't get a lot through YouTube. We definitely get a lot exposure, obviously, through Patreon, but we would probably get the same amount that we would invest. And so that's why we've been a little wary to do that. But I will consider your suggestion, Jesse. Thank you. Joseph LaRussa, I got to ask, what was with the Freddie Prinze Jr. hate on the January 23rd podcast? I wouldn't go so far as to say it's hate. I just didn't think he was the best cast member in the Scooby-Doo 1 and 2 live-action adaptations of the famous Scooby-Doo cartoons. Was it him in particular, or just him casting him as Fred? Just him as Fred. Freddie Prinze Jr. is great. Yeah, great. Sure. I'll assign the word great to Freddie Prinze Jr. Some kinship with a character also named Jones. LOL, but seriously, I agree. Is Fred's last name Jones? Is it really? I never knew that. But seriously, I agree with that Matthew Lillard was a better Shaggy than Freddie Prinze Jr. was Fred, but he still did a good job, and you can't deny his and Sarah Michelle Gellar's chemistry. Yeah. I mean, there needs to be chemistry between all those cast members. The joke between Daphne and Fred, like, you can only really take that so far, I think, especially in a kids movie. Please inform Brad that Fable and Dragon Age look nothing alike at all, like not even remotely. Yeah, they definitely don't. I don't know where he said that. He might have said that on the podcast under his breath, and I missed it. Love and respect, Joseph LaRussa. Thank you. There's also, boy, I don't remember her name, the gal that was on Freaks and Geeks as Velma. Was really great. Whew. Nose on fire. James Vest. I was wondering if you're planning to go to the Nintendo Park of Universal when it opens in a couple of years. No, because it's in Japan. I'm not planning any trips to Japan, but we should send Damiani. We should really just send Damiani to go. That would be pretty great. A Damiani Japan trip, I think, is worth it. Pawn, I hope the game you're bringing back to Hall of Greats is World of Warcraft. Even though I personally never cared for that game, it's undeniable how important that game was to the industry as a whole. I agree. That fan base at its peak was probably the most devoted group in video games. Before MOBAs, before Minecraft, before PUBG, there was WoW. I honestly don't think it's an understatement to say it was a cultural phenomenon in its heyday. And it's still kicking, it's still going around. Pawn, I agree with you. I will not be bringing it back. I cannot bring it back for a full year because no one voted for it other than me. Nobody. Ben Moore didn't vote for WoW. Brad Ellis didn't vote for WoW. Michael Huber didn't vote for WoW. But it's great because it kind of got me a get out of jail free card because that next expansion is going to come out. And Michael Huber's going to play it, and Michael Huber's going to review it, and he's going to come to me and be like, hey, Jones, you should jump in. And I should be like, you know what you should have jumped in on? Sven Van Latham, any update on Boxpeak? I know he likes to take his time, he being Kyle Bossman, and there's no need to rush things, but an update or teaser would be appreciated. There you go, Sven. I love that. That's my favorite thing. One of my favorite things at Easy Allies, and somebody asked a question for Cuppa Jones, and I'm like, oh, we actually did that. I got a tweet the other day, he was like, you should really do a spiritual successor to Pop Fiction. And I was like, there's a link for you. Professor Metal Gear, what would you name your Red Dead Redemption posse? The Young Guns. Nah, I'm not young. The 40-year-old Guns. Charlie Sheen. Just Charlie Sheen. Any Young Guns fans out there? Kiefer Sutherland? Emilio Estevez? Andy Zilkifli, which video games you have played, reviewed in your lifetime that became a huge surprise? Oh man, I didn't prep this question at all. I gotta do some brain power and it might not work. Alright, 2 questions. 3, I think. Which video games have you played, reviewed in your lifetime that became a huge surprise in the end, good or bad? In particular, Shadow of the Colossus comes to mind. Games that you had low expectations of at first, but it turned out to be one that you enjoyed the most. The unique thing about video games is that very, very rarely happens. If a game is coming out that is bad, it's usually, that I think is bad, it's probably pretty bad. Had low expectations, though. Oh, I don't know. Games that you had early high expectations or hype based on Huber standards, but it turned out to be terrible or possibly the worst game you had played of all time. I wouldn't say terrible. We talked about Shadow of War last week that I felt kind of disappointed with. Boy, I'll speaking about bad games, do you have a particular video game that you consider to be the worst of all time and still is even if you try to give it another shot? There's no cases for these. I really, Andy, I don't have anything. This game isn't bad, but I'm sad that I don't want to play Stardew Valley. That depresses me on a regular basis. Almost once a week, I'll think about Stardew Valley and be like, why don't I like that game? Like, I should like Stardew Valley. It's just a really interesting, because I mean, it's a farming simulator, but I mean, it's quote-unquote in the survival genre, and I love Metal Gear Solid 5. Yeah. I love Dragon Quest Builders. I love Fortnite. I love Minecraft. I love, like, a lot of stuff that's similar to that. I love Animal Crossing. But Stardew's too slow. It's boring. For me. Just for me. I mean, I would never ever tell somebody that likes Stardew Valley that they shouldn't. And I attempted to play Stardew Valley 3 times. And every time was just like... games that you had early high expectations? Oh, games that I had low expectations? Red Dead Redemption I didn't care about before it launched. I was like... I don't know why that game wasn't on my radar. I think I was working on like a lot of retros at the time or something, but and Shane had like locked onto it to review it, so I was like, okay, I'll play that game when it comes out. But when that game was announced, I like missed it. I didn't notice. I didn't, like, nope, that was not on my radar. All right, there's some answers. Hopefully that's good enough. German scientist, and that's the thing, is a lot of people love Stardew Valley, and Stardew Valley is supposed to be, like, Robbie or Robble, I'm guessing Robbie, or Rob I. Stardew Valley's maximum jolliness in YouTube chat. That's the thing, is if I'm not having maximum jolliness, I probably shouldn't play it, right? Like, it's one of those games where you're like, oh yeah, I play that game and I just relax. I play that game and I'm stressed out. Like, the first 20 quests that they give you in that game are just, I thought were stressful. I thought were like, I don't know, a lot of guides. I don't know. They're like go into the village and meet 20 people. And I met like 18 of them and spent an hour and a half looking for those other 2 people, just running and just doing loops around the town, being like, where are these people that I have to meet before I can like plant a tomato? Is a longer, more focused charity, German scientist, is a longer, more focused charity fundraising stream likely to happen this year? Yes. It would be great to bring the community together to do some good, whilst it could also double as a Patreon drive. Everything doubles as a Patreon drive. Welcome to the Patreon drive, everybody. There could be fun goals set to donation and patron milestones, as well as maybe Easy Aid donating $1 for every new Patreon up to a point. Could still prove worthwhile for you if some hopefully stay patrons for more than 1 month or even become $2 patrons. Yes. I think yes. Yes. We're planning the anniversary and some other stuff beforehand, so not spending resources on that just yet, but that'll be something that'll happen this year, hopefully before E3. Alexander Ziranov with a huge one, but a good, yeah, 4 paragraphs, everybody. Buckle up. But this is a good thing just to know in general for use on Patreon. If you are a new patron to Easy Allies, if you're somebody who listens to Cup of Jones but doesn't necessarily post all that often, if you're planning to post someday, here's the experience of somebody using a website we have absolutely zero control in fixing the issues of. I've recently had a couple problems with posting a comment to Community Showcase. The first problem is a new one. My comment was deleted immediately after posting. I was able to make comments with different text, but when I posted what I wanted to post or edit previously posted comments with desired text, my comment was deleted the moment I refreshed the page. I've reached out to Patreon and they said that my comments had been marked as spam by their third-party provider. They manually removed them from the spam filter, and after all my missing comments had appeared. Another problem is well known. Top comments can disappear after a while. In this particular instance, it was pretty severe since more than 10 comments were lost, which a lot of times is tough for us to tell what is happening, because I know a lot of you are posting and so you're coming back and checking this stuff, whereas I am not. I come in at the end of community comments, the end of Cup of Jones, the day before, and check and see where everything is at, and so it's tough to like see what's going on. I haven't received a response from Patreon yet, but my observation shows that this happens when a total number of comments is close to some specific number. If it's getting closer to this number, then adding new comments to the post will make one or more top comments disappear. But if we bypass it by adding some more comments, then there's a good chance that the missing top comments will appear again. It's just like we're playing some obscure PC adventure game from the 80s, and it's just like we're playing that game that Tom Hanks plays in Big. Unfortunately, this recovery isn't permanent because after several hours, top comments can appear again, even if no comments were added or removed. But it's possible to bring comments back again by repeating this procedure. Also, it seems that there is a limit to a number of comments that can be recovered with this method. I managed to save 8 or 9, but earlier comments were still missing. So Zirianov is waging war right now with the technology of Patreon. This is like Tron. He's going into the comment system. He's leaving comments in the sole purpose to flush other comments out into the open. The showcase comments have been disappearing like nuts, says Zephyr Moon. I bet nuts disappear a lot for a squirrel because you bury them in one place and then you forget where you left the nuts. Disappearing like nuts. In summary, if a comment can't be posted at all, then text modification or splitting comment in 2 parts may help. If a comment is near the top, then it's in danger of being deleted, but there is a chance to recover it by making several additional comments, and in both cases, it's a good idea to contact Patreon support. If you feel this info can be helpful to other members of our community, please share it on Cup of Jones. Also, I have a suggestion. Since first comments are in most danger to go missing, maybe you can make a couple of dummy comments by yourself before publishing a post. At least for group stream selection committee and Q&A posts, where reposting a comment several days later is not a good option. One other option that you have is messaging us at Patreon. you're finding, again, maybe don't do this as a knee-jerk reaction. Definitely don't do this like, just be like, well, I'm just going to do that then. Like, try to leave a comment on the page. We will work with Patreon as efficiently as we can to get this fixed. But send us a message and be like, hey, I'm submitting this for the showcase, and then anybody can send us that message, but we'll cross-reference you with your patronage. And if you qualify for the community showcase, then we'll consider that your comment, because I don't want to miss anything. That's horrible. You know, this is not. I imagine this is not small bits of money that are being thrown around to support Easy Allies. This is very important to you. This is important to us. And if people give us, you know, $20, $25, you know, $50 to be involved in things like Q&A and to the community showcase, which I believe is $10, but. And don't get their money's worth. That sucks. That's something that we want to do away with. Obviously, it should be considered one of the top priorities of Easy Allies. Again, there's not much we can do. We don't technically run the website. That would be a terrifying prospect. Just running EasyAllies.com is stressful because we're working on updates to the website right now. M-Bun, honestly, I'd love a Christmas caroling stream with as many allies as wanted to participate decked out in festive costume. My only ask for such a stream is that it would be done early December at the latest, as to give us time to enjoy possibly rewatching it multiple times throughout the holiday season. Maybe you could even take the allies straight from it to have a photo taken for an annual official Easy Allies Christmas card. That said, there might be a greater merchandise opportunity there to turn it into a full-blown Easy Allies Christmas CD you could sell. I know Ian has sold CDs for Easy Update before, so the know-how can make that happen. So the know-how to make that happen should be present. Christmas Carol stream / card / album. Put that on the list. Alex, I mean, great, yeah, awesome. Christmas is a ways away. Alex AI, would it be possible to let the Huber Dream Challenge randomly invade future EZA group streams? It felt like a great halftime minigame and pulled all the allies in. It could also be a simple icebreaker in the beginning. Also, if one were to gift the allies a game or two over stream, which way should one go about that? I mean, what mail address would that go to? You can always email myself, Brandon, at EasyAllies.com. You can email Bloodworth at EasyAllies.com. Yeah. If we're to gift the allies over Steam, sorry. Yeah, just or message us on Patreon. I mean, you're a patron. Message us on Patreon. Ben will pick that up, or Blood will pick that up, and just say, hey, I want to give you some of those details, and then we will maybe get the, if you have cards and you can gift them. I don't know. That might be sticky. I don't know. I'd have to do research on that to know if that's a thing that we could do. If it's, I guess we're playing on Steam, you could potentially get the details of our Steam account to be friends with us on Steam. I don't use Steam a ton, so I don't know what if there's any hoops to jump through there that are dangerous for a property such as us. Diamond Crusader with a fascinating question: do you think I can still enjoy Horizon Zero Dawn even if my head hurts while playing action-heavy 30 FPS games? The reason why I bought a PS4 was Bloodborne, and I must have put hundreds of hours into it, but my head was hurting the whole time I was playing it! Which is kind of fascinating for Bloodborne, I'll be honest. If you know the lore behind Bloodborne, that was a very interesting playthrough you just had. So despite my head hurting the whole time, and that's amazing that you beat it, it's one of my favorite games of all time. So I've been kind of interested in Horizon since the reveal. Mech dinosaurs and seemingly good combat. Very good combat. But open world fatigue and the fact that it's 30 FPS are still holding me back. I do think about it once in a while though, which is why I'm asking the expert to tell me if Horizon is good enough to play while having a headache, possibly. Probably more than Bloodborne. Because the encounters in Bloodborne are like mountains that you have to get over, whereas in Horizon you can definitely pace yourself out. It's a beautiful world, it's a really interesting story, but man, you have a headache? I can't go official. I appreciate you calling me a Horizon expert, but I can't give you an official recommendation here because of the fact that it's a headache. If it was like vision blurriness, or if it was, I don't know, allergies or something, like, headaches suck so bad. I get migraines, and I get headaches sometime. I got a headache last night. Headaches are the worst, and I can't play games when I have a headache. I talk to people sometimes. I have a friend of mine that gets migraines a lot, and I was hanging out with her the other day, and she's like, yeah, I'm on day 5 of this migraine. And I'm like, how are you living? How How are you walking around? How are you communicating? How are you looking at me in my eyes right now? Like, how do you do that? How do you beat Bloodborne with a permanent headache? That's incredible. So yeah, props to you. I would never want to suggest someone do anything with a headache. So it's hard for me to be like, yeah, do it. But I think it's a more casual experience than Bloodborne. I think it's a more relaxed experience than Bloodborne. So hopefully that alleviates some of the pain of having an action-heavy 30 FPS headache. Brutal. Mikkel Hervel Nemo. I think it might have been in the December Q&A. You, Blood, and Damiani were MIA. I keep hearing about things that happened during this Q&A. And the other allies all talked about wanting to go back to the GT era of 100-point number scoring in reviews instead of stars. I don't mind the stars, but is it something you are doing? And if you changed it, what about older reviews? It'd be weird to scroll through the EZA reviews and see a mix of stars and 100-point scale scores, but it would also be very weird to retroactively go back and score games with a different point system. What's up, Jones? Changing the system? Has it been a discussing point among you recently? Am I just out of my mind crazy and imagine that entire conversation? You might have. I don't know. I didn't watch the Q&A. I don't typically listen to podcasts and stuff that I'm not on. But I will answer this. Has it been a discussing point among you recently? Yes. Brian Denu, understanding that the group stream selection committee is mainly Kyle's project, do you have any suggestions for improving the process by which we patrons elect games for the weekly group streams? The committee has come up with some amazing ideas, all caps, but the system of liking comments on a Patreon post is not ideal. It's another tack. I should just star these every single time. These people are just like, Patreon doesn't work. But the system of liking comments on a Patreon post is not ideal. I think that more abstract stream ideas such as the 2018 prediction stream are more in style of a podcast. Newer games frequently get ignored, and there's a lack of input from the allies themselves. I know that Kyle is working on tweaking the process, but curious to hear your input. I'll tell you of things that we have tried to fix this. There's lots of third-party software that handles, like you were saying, like, like and comments on Patreon, it's not ideal. We've researched things that are ideal. Most of them can be, like, gamed. Most of them can be abused by people because it's outside of Patreon. And so there's nothing we can, like, link directly from Patreon to that. That we know, that we've used and liked how it worked. So obviously welcome to all suggestions and stuff like that, but I don't want you to be like, well, clearly you ignored this, because we did try some things and just didn't like the way they functioned. Allergies are zapping my brain power. I agree with you that the top games frequently get ignored, and that's the other thing that I want to talk about. Is that something that we have been talking about and trying to figure out a solution of? Maybe we add a suggestion to, we allow the patrons to pick one. Maybe we throw in a game if we're like, hey, this game just came out, we want to play this. We'll ultimately leave it up to our patrons to pick what we're going to play, but we want to throw our hat in the ring and maybe throw every now and then put some suggestions on there. Or possibly every now and then, we do this with Hall of Greats, we do this with tournaments. Granted, people pick what tournament game we play, but we do decide that one stream a month is a tournament game. And so I think our patrons and I think our viewers on Twitch and people who hang out and watch our archives or join us for Tuesday night group streams are familiar with the ebb and flow between our patrons, between our community suggesting and influencing what we work on, and us making decisions on what we think will best suit us to cover and ways that we want to shake things up. And so don't be surprised if every now and then, in advance of when we were going to put up that vote, we say, we're gonna let you vote on the style of what we do, but the actual game itself, we really want to play this. Like, we really want to do this for group streams. So we're gonna leave something up that you can vote on, but it might not always be the game. Because, like you were saying, some games get ignored. Sometimes it's frustrating because we're all just amped to play something. While the 2018 prediction stream was really great, like you said, it fits more of a podcast vibe. And it's a bummer that Ben was there for the 2008 prediction stream and then is now gone when we're actually playing Dragon Ball FighterZ. And so that's not something that we expect our audience to know, the schedule of Ben. And it's, Ben doesn't necessarily need to be there when we do all streams for games that he likes. But every now and then, something's hot. You get like a Sea of Thieves or something, and that might not be a good group stream game. That might be something that we play outside the group stream. Yeah, we're gonna think somebody brought up that I said before that we're going to bend stuff until it breaks, and they didn't like that terminology. So, but ebb and flow is a little more chi. It's a little more yin and yang. The ebb and flow of Patreon. OTAPS, whose name I do not recognize, but with a big comment. OTAPS. I've noticed that some YouTube videos now contain several ads. This feels like a relatively new development and not one that I'm a fan of. I understand that this may be an additional untapped revenue stream for EZA, but it has hampered my viewing experience. I tend to watch whilst I'm commuting, and mobile internet can be a bit spotty. I've had several instances where I've had to give up watching the video because the ad reset the stored bandwidth used to stream the video. If I try to play it, it'll just buffer continuously because coverage is bad. Not only that, it can break the flow of enjoyable conversations. See, breaking the flow. This is just my opinion, but I feel like if you're supported through Patreon, you shouldn't have YouTube ads, especially if you have sponsors advertising within the show itself, Frametrap in this instance. Are these ads intentional, and are they here to stay? If these are unintentional, is there anything you can do to stop them? Bloodworth. The almighty wise Bloodworth chimes in. Brandon will add his thoughts, but I've had ads enabled from the very start. What types of ads appear and how often they're displayed is almost entirely up to YouTube. It's part of YouTube's business model. Ads are paying for that video bandwidth, and there are certain features we can't use without having our channel monetized. I wouldn't be surprised either if not enabling ads limited our reach to new viewers across the YouTube audience. And even if we chose to disable them, some videos would still have ads due to copyright claims from companies like Nintendo. So yes, there's a lot of layers to it. It's not just as simple as turning something on and off. Obviously, some videos will not be monetized, some will. Some videos will be monetized by other people other than us, like we were saying with Nintendo. Sometimes you'll get a lot of ads on something, sometimes you won't. And I want to address, because Blood's talking about how YouTube works. So I'm going to go back and I will clarify a little bit more my personal stance. Where I'm coming from with, this is just my opinion, but I feel if you're supported through Patreon, then you shouldn't have YouTube ads. There are a lot of different hurdles. There are a lot of barriers to enjoying Easy Allies to its fullest potential. You know, you could give us $1 a month and you can get Cup of Jones. You can hang out with me and we could talk about stuff live, or you could get listen to it audio on the way home from work or something. And but you don't necessarily get to hear your name read during podcast halftime every week. And so there are layers of different people's enjoyment of this thing, and there are barriers, and sometimes that works, sometimes that is understood between people that are existing at these various tiers, and sometimes that can be really frustrating. We've encountered moments where we've set up something new, and we've set up those walls, and those walls have been criticized, and then we take those walls down because we're aware that something is not working in relation to something else. It's one thing to handle something being frustrating on one end, something people just, Patreon's not working. We're like, we know. And one solution to that would be to move to another surface. One solution to that would be to really get angry about it and write a letter. You know, like there's a lot of things we could do as far as really making Patreon aware how that is affecting our business, because it is negatively affecting our business. There are a lot of things that are negatively affecting our business that we're still doing because it is the best option. It is unfortunate that you can't watch videos. That sucks. I really want to empathize and put myself in the position of you sitting on that bus, or sitting in a cab, or in an Uber, or driving with a friend, or driving yourself to work, and trying to listen to stuff, and you can't. And so, but at the same time, that getting in the way, that barrier of you enjoying that content and the ads that we're getting on YouTube and the money that we're getting from those ads on YouTube, negatively affecting our other business so much that it's not worth it. That money that we get in is taking as much, if not more, than from our Twitch streams or our sponsorship on Patreon, stuff like that. We haven't seen that happen. So that is where I think that conversation would evolve, is when we get to that point where multiple people are saying, YouTube just doesn't work. Just like, as you can very well tell, we have had at least 2 questions so far in Cup of Jones where people are like, Patreon doesn't work. It doesn't work for Community Showcase. It doesn't work for Cup of Jones. It's frustrating to ask questions, to give you money, to get the ability to ask questions, to ask those questions, and then not have those questions answered. That's an issue, and one that whether we're able to fix, we should be aware of and we should be talking about. So we're currently not able to turn that off for many reasons, but we should be aware of it and it should be a conversation that we have. And thank you, Bloodworth, for starting that conversation. And thank you, OTAPs. I'm sorry that you can't watch that stuff. One way that we can maybe solve things is by maybe making a video. I don't know how excited Patreon would be about this, but making a video talking about all the things that are broken on Patreon and just being like, hey, here's workarounds. Here's things that were broken on YouTube if ads screw you over, and here's ways to work around them. How-to videos. I've been thinking about stuff like that a lot. Morgan Mohala, if the EZA audience wanted to pitch a game, book, or movie to you, what is the best way to do it? What hard limitations should we consider before we propose something? Time, genre, mature content, console availability. Mature content, let's put that up top. Yeah, we're not gonna, you know, it's gotta be, you know the kind of stuff that we do. Pitch a game, book, or movie to you? So like we should make? Or we should watch? I mean, anything. I mean, here on Cup of Jones, you can submit stuff for love and respect. You can message us. You can hit us all up individually on Twitter. There's lots of ways through social media. I just don't know what one would be like the best way, and I'm not exactly sure. Specifically, if you're saying pitch a game, book, or movie that you should all watch, play, or read, or play, read, or watch, or ones that we should make. That's fascinating. 2, have you ever seen Red Berserk? I have not. I've seen it. I've watched the show a couple times, and I've like seen the manga, but I haven't read it. I just realized it has a lot of elements in common with the Song of Ice and Fire. He said Fire and Ice, but I fixed it. Not to mention having major influences in the Soul series. I imagine you saying there's no time, but luckily they condensed the first season into 3 high-quality movies. Nice. The first has a runtime of 77 minutes, and you can quit if it isn't your thing. I don't know about you, but I'm looking for my fix anywhere I can until the Winds of Winter arrives. Oh, so confident are you, Morgan? Apparently that's happening. Winds of Winter arriving, according to Morgan. Good to hear. Yeah, I'm sure it would make Huber and Benmore and Brad extremely happy if I watched Berserk. So I will take it under advisement, detective. Is that what he says? Hit it again, Die Hard. Have you guys thought about changing what time you start your group streams to help combat fatigue and to be more friendly to your fans who live outside the Western time zone? If you start streaming even 1 hour earlier, you can make your streams much more accessible to the rest of the country. Staying up until 10 p.m. is a pretty big thing. Ha! Staying up until 10 p.m. Oh, we stay up so much later than that. It's a pretty big thing to ask your fans in the Midwest. Sorry, I gloated for absolutely no reason whatsoever, let alone your fans on the East Coast, who you are asking to stay up until midnight. The streams ending earlier would also, theoretically, mean more energy for the podcast, an issue you discussed last week. Alternatively, you could do group streams on Fridays, which would work much better for every time zone since no matter what time it aired, at least it's the weekend. I fully understand that if you were to change what time you started your group streams, you would receive emails from people talking about how inconvenient the new time is for them. So you're basically stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I don't have any solutions to offer. Just wanted to put my opinion out there and hope for the best. I hear you, Kevin. Yeah, it's always midnight somewhere. Gremlins too. Yeah, I tell you what's not going to happen. The group stream's not going to start earlier. And I'll give you 2 words why. Dawn Casanova. Dawn works full time, and Dawn makes it here just before the group stream. And so if we started at 5, you'd get late Dawn every time you get less Dawn. And I don't want you to get less Dawn. You only get so much Dawn as it is. So I like that being 6 to 8. It's dinner time. I think that just works out really well for us here on the West Coast. Apologies to everybody on the East Coast who's staying up until 11. They're staying up until midnight because we end at 8. Or midnight-ish if we go to like 8:30. And super apologies to everybody in the UK that just doesn't get to enjoy that in a reasonable fashion. One thing that we might do, though, like we were talking about combating fatigue, is to maybe do the podcast beforehand. That was kind of fun. And I think the more we experiment with that and do that for random reasons, because we're shooting stuff around it, it's never the same Tuesday twice. Today is Friend Code, and Kyle is coming over to do a little Box Peak VO recording. And so that's this Tuesday. Next Tuesday, who knows? It might be a little tabletop. Might be a little Frame Trap. Maybe, you never know how we're going to spice up a Tuesday. Frame Trap's actually been shooting on Mondays now, which is great. So, yeah, we shuffle. One of the issues is things change week to week. Responsibilities change with people that are here and stuff that we can do. And so there's only 4 opportunities a month to change these things and to shuffle the schedule around. And so we'll get an interesting tip, but it really won't be maybe like a month or 2 down the road before we can try some things out, you know, get the opportunity. If the podcast worked well beforehand, it might not work well today because it might not work well with people who are going to be on friend code and so on. Slack is blowing up right now, and Amanda's calling me. She knows it's Cup of Jones. I'm getting a phone call. Amanda's out of town, actually. See what's going on in Slack. What are we doing? Oh! Everybody's talking about the Dreamcast. We might be doing Dreamcast. Maybe we're doing both. Oh, nope, Dreamcast 1. There it is. Dreamcast Fancy 15. I gotta chime in because I have a Dreamcast, but I don't have all the cables, I don't think. Might have a power cable that's functional, but I'm pretty sure I don't have a video cable, so. But it sounds like they're all talking about that. So there you go. Fancy 15, Dreamcast. I own 1 Dreamcast game. Let's see if anybody can... Man, Dragon Ball FighterZ, you just don't want it. I mean, Ben's streaming it later this week, so you're gonna get it. But what's the only Dreamcast game I own? YouTube. What is the only Dreamcast game I own? And it's all on 1 console, too, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy Fancy 15, we can just swap the games out on 1 console. 1 Dreamcast game, folks. What is it? 007? No. Power Stone 2? No. Power Stone 2 is a very good game, though. 2 words, not 1 word. Soul Calibur? No. Crazy Taxi. Link got it. Batman? What Batman game? What is it? Dark Tomorrow? Just Batman? The Batman game. And Sonic is not a game that was on the Dreamcast. There was no game on the Dreamcast called Sonic. Come on, people. You can't just say Sonic in terms of the Dreamcast. There were at least 3. What was it? Was Sonic and Knuckles on Dreamcast? But I know Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 was. How many Dreamcast Sonic games were there? Good question. Oh boy. Kevin, so there you go. Mason Victoria, what was it like working with Phantom NK remotely on a theme song? And what was the production process? Like, for example, who wrote the lyrics? Who did the editing, mixing, etc.? Was this your first time recording your singing voice professionally? Hell no. As opposed to your voiceover and voice acting work? Well, yeah, I've never, like, sung to get paid. I mean, I did the Bloodborne musical. That's a lie. No, I've sung, recording my singing voice. Well, I mean, I've done performances on stage that I've gotten paid for that were recorded. The recording being done of the performance was not specifically for Sonic Shuffle. Nice. It was not specifically done for the recording. It just happened to be recorded. So, but yeah, I don't do that a lot. I don't work with Phantom NK. I've never met him. I've never communicated with Phantom NK, actually. Phantom NK is a mystery, and I kind of like to keep it that way. Phantom NK, with the creation of the Easy Allies theme song, and now the theme for Box Peak, and he's done some other amazing work in the past. He did a remix of the Love and Respect theme, and he did a Donkey Kong version of Blood's Ved Food Group rap. Love Phantom NK. He loves us. Couldn't ask for a better fan. But you're all the best fans in the world. But never worked with him, and so from what I communicated with Kyle, it sounded like Phantom NK wrote a thing. Kyle said, change it this way. He wrote it again, because he didn't want Phantom NK to work on it too many times. I think there was like 2 versions, maybe 3, and then that was the final. And Phantom NK had a friend that played the guitar stuff on Box Peak. He can elaborate on this further. And of course, Kyle wrote the lyrics. And then, so I think Kyle, told Phantom NK, like, there's got to be a part that says Box Peak. It's like, I need you to say Box Peak several times, like, Pokemon, da-na-na, line, Pokemon, line of dialogue, or lyric. And then, and then he wrote the words, and then Ian came over, and Kyle came over. Kyle is the yow in the recording, and Ian sings most of it and does the 1, 2 at the end, and then you can hear me box and pack up your things and go, or what is it? Pack up your things and go. No second thoughts. I'm like the low part of the harmony, and Ian thought up the harmonies and mixed the whole thing because Ian is a god. No, really, Ian's pretty great. And that character, Ian is playing that character. You see, that little robot. That's going to be Ian in the show, too. I'm so pumped for that show. I try not to talk about it a lot because it's going to be a while. It's going to take a long time before that show's done, before the full season 1. I would predict it'll happen in 2018. I'm not going to promise because I'm not Kyle. But it seems like where we're at and the rest of the work that needs to be done, 2018 is Box Peak time. Jackist, which is the cool name. Jakisthe. Jackist. How do you balance Patreon growth versus morale with the team? What is the tipping point? If, say, you were at 49K for 7 months, would you turn to younger, thinner Tony Hawk and say, oh, Kyle, now's the time for general commitment to a few episodes of Final Bossman, which I think should push us over? Or a similar scenario? Would you turn to younger, thinner Tony Hawk? I'm missing the reference there. Is Kyle younger, thinner Tony Hawk? That's the joke, right? Younger, thinner Tony Hawk? Is there some Tony Hawk joke with Kyle that we're missing? Wow. Yeah, maybe. I don't know what that would do. I don't know how far you could push Kyle. If I like tied Kyle to a chair and put heat lamps on him and punched him in the face a couple times and, you know, I love Ace Ventura when nature calls, when he does like the eye thing, when he moves his eye, when he moves his eyeball, when he's torturing the guy. I don't know what it would take. I don't know, like, you know, push pins under his fingernails? I don't know. Kyle looks a bit like Tony Hawk. That's funny. Tony Hawk is still super skinny. Yeah, if you're a skinnier Tony Hawk, that is a skinny individual. Morale is good. One of the things that was important to come out of our meeting, and one of the conversations that we've been having lately, that's great, is being a realistic about Easy Allies. And it's actually my editorial today. I didn't talk about my editorial yet, but I'm going to do a very brief editorial on a realistic projection on the rest of the year, and just kind of like a reality check on what we're able to do. And just because there's a lot of comments of people that seem frustrated in our community about things that are not being updated, and a technical proficiency that some people think we should have that we do not. But everybody seems to be pretty happy. Like I said, my morale is up because I'm excited a lot about the next episode of Game Sleuth, finishing the Souls Retro, getting the first episode of Box Peak finished. I'm excited about all of you seeing those things. I think those are all going to be great, and I think they're going to hopefully remind you of the interesting stuff that Easy Allies can do, and hopefully make you happy about the investment that you've made here on Patreon. Tim Beshen, do you have any good hangover cures? Some Secret Jones recipe. Next week we have Carnival in Cologne. It's basically a huge party starting Thursday till Wednesday. Thursday till Wednesday? Oh, and it involves a lot of beer. Yeah, I mean, obviously hydrate. I don't have any hangover cures, meaning like the next morning if it's bad. I take a nap. I sleep. If my head hurts so much I can't function, I'm down for the count. I go to bed. I put my head on a pillow and I close my eyes. But as I've been getting older, I get headaches easier just when I'm drinking, just like that night actually. And I realize it's because I don't hydrate. And I think hydration is something that we underestimate a lot. I think hydration can be a hangover killer. The key is, a lot of people are like, you drink a beer, you drink water, you drink a beer, you drink water. Drink water beforehand. Drink water like the whole day. If like that Thursday, was it Thursday till Wednesday? That Thursday morning, wake up, have some juice or something with breakfast and maybe some coffee, and then drink 4 giant glasses of water before you drink any alcohol that day. And see what happens. See if it's, there you go, try that. There's my Secret Jones recipe, water. Christopher, I've heard you speak of doing meditation. I've tried it before, but could never clear my mind enough to feel that it was worth it. Lately, I've been working on my mental health and would love some tips. I'd also love to hear how you keep up your mental health when things get stressful. By the way, I regularly go back to your Let's Talk About Nature editorial on getting out of the house for a little motivation on getting away. Man, let's do another nature thing. Maybe I could stream at the back window. I haven't thought about that. That'd be really great. Just hang out in the back there, just get back to nature. I mean, we're not in nature. We're in the middle of Los Angeles, but yeah. First of all, don't kick yourself, Chris. It's tough. Can I call you Chris? Just to give you an example of when I meditate, like you were saying, you've been thinking about mental health, so I'm not going to talk about breathing and stuff like that, but specifically you say mental health and you say I'm never able to clear my mind enough to feel as though it was worth it. You're not going to feel it after you meditate. It's kind of frustrating. You might feel your heart rate dip a little bit. You might feel your breathing regulate a little bit. You might notice just a slight change in presence, but you might be like, well, that wasn't worth it. You're not going to feel it right away. You're going to feel it in the long term. You're going to feel it a week later after doing it every day for a week. It's the invisible cure, and it sucks that way. That's why it takes so much commitment. That's why a lot of people that do it a lot, and granted, I try to do it a lot. I aspire to do it a lot. I've committed to the idea that doing it a lot is beneficial for you, but it still doesn't mean I do it all the time. Like, I definitely skip days where I don't meditate and then suffer for it. So I was doing really well. My nose was doing well. Now I'm clogging up again. So understand that. Also understand that your mind is constantly going to battle. At least mine does. My mind has a very difficult time excluding outside influences. When I was starting Cup of Jones today, somebody was using a leaf blower next door, and I was like, I can't start Cup of Jones with that going on. There was an infamous camping trip that I made with Amanda where there was a Boy Scout troop nearby that was having a talent show, and I couldn't hear anything. I was literally like, they were in my brain. Like, their talent show was happening inside of my brain, and I couldn't talk to someone. I couldn't understand I couldn't process what they were saying to me. And so when I meditate, my brain is like at war with itself. My brain's like, think about something. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to think about anything. And they're like, yeah, but you're not thinking about something right now because you're stressed about this thing. And I'm like, I know. Okay, back to center. And so your mind, it sounds like your mind is pulling you in all these different directions, and that's fine. That's kind of how it works. Your meditation is not always necessarily it happens every now and then. It's a magical thing. It's like the runner's high. I hear people like, yeah, the runner's high. I've run a lot. I never feel high. I feel like crap every time I run. I don't know about this runner's high that people talk about. But sometimes it kind of happens. Sometimes I'm running. I'm like, okay, I see what people are saying. I'm definitely in a groove now. I definitely feel more comfortable with running than I have, the week before and the week before that. But it's rare. It's 1 in 20 when I sit down and meditate, and I'm like, whoa, I've done it. I have achieved total wellness, and I am at the center of my being. Most of the times, I'll capture that moment for 3 seconds, and then I'll immediately fly out of it and just start thinking about something work related. Start thinking about something I'm listening to. Sophie will make a noise or something, and I'll open my eyes and look at her, and so. It's the struggle. The practice of meditation is the effort put forward to making that amount of time as long as possible. But it's going to be short, and it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to be a process. But the fact that you commit to the process is you win. But it doesn't feel like that right away, so it can suck. It sounds like I'm selling snake oil, but it's one of those things that helps being alive. Matt Kurliowski. Name I don't recognize, jumping in with the Star Wars talk, and I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to talk about it. I didn't do a trailer reaction to Han Solo. And Matt Kurliowski asks, what's your take on the Han Solo trailer? Would you be able to separate it for the younger character from Harrison Ford enough to enjoy it? Or do you think it won't work for you? The cinematography looks stunning at the very least. A lot rests on this movie for me. Whoa. I was very let down by The Last Jedi, but if Solo is good or hopefully even great, I can be optimistic again. Different people, different writers, different directors. It's a different movie. I don't know if I was let down by The Last Jedi. That's a little strong. My enjoyment of Last Jedi was a little higher than that because there was a lot in The Last Jedi that I liked. The Last Jedi was a very frustrating movie for me. Talking about Last Jedi has been a very frustrating process. I hope you don't rest a lot on Han Solo. Han Solo is going to be a weird, jokey movie. I don't think Han Solo should take itself seriously. One line that makes me very nervous in the Han Solo trailer, she's like, when Khaleesi's like, only I know who you really are. It's like, oh no, don't make Han don't make Han do a thing that he never tells anyone else that he does. That you're like, whoa, he created the Jedi or something. Like, don't do that. Like, please. Oh. Here's what I want. Here's the main thing that makes me nervous about Han Solo, and here's the main thing that makes me nervous about that guy. I am not worried about him looking like Harrison Ford. It's fine. I'd seen it. His hair looks a little poofy, but whatever. That guy's a great actor. I don't know if you've seen Hail Caesar, but his performance in Hail Caesar was one of those performances where I was like, "You're in, buddy. You made it." It's like Tom Holland in Spider-Man. I'm like, "You did it. I love this guy. I'm locked into your career forever now." That kid's great. I think Glover's going to be incredible as Lando. I'm really excited to see that. I think Woody Harrelson looks great. I think there's a lot of cool aliens. When they talks about his crew, and he's like, "I'm putting a crew together," and you see his whole crew, I'm like, yeah, these all look great. I just hope it's just a fun heist movie, or so. I hope it's not a heist, or like, I don't know. I hope they steal some stuff. There's like a train we see in one part. I hope they rob that train. I hope we get a Star Wars train robbery. How cool would that be? I'm stoked. Here's what I don't want. I will leave you, Matt, with my greatest fear. My greatest fear, excuse me, is that Han Solo's a nice guy. Hear me out. I know what you're thinking. Well, hi, it's Han Solo, Harrison Ford. He's the nicest guy. He's the nice guy because you meet him in Episode 4 at a very pivotal moment in his life. By the time we get to Return of the Jedi, he's a general in the rebellion. He's gone from being a pilot, applying to be a pilot in the Empire, to a general in the rebellion that is responsible for destroying 2 Death Stars. 2 of the biggest installations that the Empire has ever constructed. He just destroys both of them. 3 of them. If you count Episode 7. Spoilers. That's the nice guy Han that you know. Before that, he was not a nice guy. It's the key. It's why they made a T-shirt that says Han shoots first. It's the core of his character that he's not a good guy. Everybody that you know, maybe Lando's just slightly outside of that, but I think even by the time they get to Return, Lando kind of fits the rebellion profile a little bit more than Han does. Han never really knows what to do. A lot of people complain about that in Return of the Jedi when people don't like Return of the Jedi. They're like, the hell is Han doing in that movie? But it makes sense to me because it seems like Han's not really in his element in Return. Like, he's really nervous about them flying that secret mission. When he's on the planet, he's like, well, I'm in the forest. What the hell am I doing here? Like, he's not given opportunities to use his best abilities. He's at his best in... boy, he's not at his best in Empire. He really takes a licking in Empire. He's at his best in 4. I mean, 4 is his best movie. 4's the Han's movie. He has to be this guy that's not like mean, that doesn't like go out of his way to hurt people, but he just doesn't give a crap at all. He doesn't care. Like, I don't care if I kill Greedo in front of all of you. I don't care if we get this job or that job. I don't care. I don't care if, like, when he gets, in my mind, when he gets that job from Obi-Wan and Luke, he doesn't care if they die. Like, if he takes them to Alderaan and they left, he's gone. He never thinks about that again. Like, he only gets involved because, wait a minute, whoa, Alderaan's not here? Wait, what? Alderaan's gone? There's a planet that's gone. Like, that just kind of sets it in his brain. And he tries to leave, and Chewie's like, come on, and like, Chewie drags him back. And he goes back and he helps him, blows up the Death Star. But like, I hope, like, what would really sink the Han Solo movie for me, the one thing I want from the Han Solo film more than anything else, if the Millennium Falcon is only in that movie for 6 seconds, that's fine. I want Han to be a bad guy. I want him to be brash. I want him to piss people off. I hope the whole crew doesn't die Rogue One style. I want him to be tough to deal with. I want Chewie to be in conflict with him. I want you to be like, oh, he's not Han yet. I want that. That's what I want. That's my fear. From what I can see, for all the shots of him like talking to Khaleesi and all these, we almost get out of that, we're fine. And it's like, don't be Episode 4 Han, because then it makes Episode 4 Han, whatever. It's no big deal. Nothing's happening right now. This is just who he is. It's like, don't do that. Bjorn Haraldsvik completed Resident Evil 1 for the first time. Great game. And some really clutch inventory management. But what's really clutch is completing a game without knowing the language. How did you manage to get through Final Fantasy in Japanese and enjoy the story? Tangent, did you play Resident Evil 1 in Japanese? Great game. Some really clutch inventory management. I love that review of Resident Evil 1. I love finishing Resident Evil 1 and being like, clutch inventory management. Also, gotta know, please clarify this later, You didn't say Resident Evil Remake. You said Resident Evil 1. Did you play the PS1 version? Like Resident Evil 1 for PlayStation 1? If so, kudos. But you probably played Remake. But I hope you enjoyed Remake, because Remake's on PS4, I think, right? How did you manage to get through Final Fantasy in Japanese and enjoy the story? Just guides and guides. Like, so I would have a list of all of the Japanese characters, because I didn't need to know the story in Japanese, I just needed to know what they were saying. The hardest one was 2, because there are keywords in Final Fantasy 2 that they experimented with. So a character would say Rose, and you have to go, okay, Rose, and then add that, and then when you went to go talk to a character, they'd be like, what do you want? And you'd have to like go into your keyword list and hit Rose. And so that keyword list I had on a document, and list like that word means that, and that word means that. Spells I had a list of, that's fire, that's blizzard, that's, you know, or whatever they were called, that's holy. Then I had a walkthrough of the story, so I knew where to go and what to do. So, yeah, again, that's why I'm so impressed with people that know Japanese, because like I didn't learn Japanese to do that. Cesar Villa, what are the odds of you guys doing another meet and greet in the PSX weekend? Everyone's talking about Christmas already. We're doing Christmas. We're doing a Christmas album, apparently. It's time to plan the PSX weekend. You can skip the rest from the show. I just want to explain to you why I'm asking so early in the year. I would love to be able to meet you guys. Actually, I met you, Jones and Amanda, back in the Game Awards in 2015, but would love to shake your hand again. This hand would love to be shook. Unfortunately, the anniversary event is so close, and plane fares are quite expensive at such close range for international flights, but I think I can get a fair price for a very advanced purchase, so say December 2018. Just asking because while I would like to go sightseeing and maybe get to Disneyland, maybe, the main purpose for getting my fat ass in a plane to LA would be the opportunity of hanging out with you guys for a while, so I would like to have my bases covered. It's okay if you can't tell me right now. We are 10 months away from PSX. Is there even... if there even is one, and it's held in Anaheim again. I just wanted to ask for the first time, see, I should get my expectations low, and maybe come back to the question when details about PSX are revealed. PSX is usually over a weekend. Whenever PSX is revealed, that's the weekend we will be having our meetup. Even if they have an event PSX on Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night, which they've never done, but even if they do, and like block us out of the evening, we'll have the meetup earlier in the day. Like we'll have it that weekend because it has just worked out really well, and I think works out well for people that want to do both. So yeah, wait on Sony. Clearly for location too. I mean, we can maybe like, you know, take a gamble on when we think it's going to be, but location is the most important thing. Chad McIntosh. But yeah, every year we will be doing that. That's worked out really well the first 2 times, and so lock it in. Chad McIntosh, with something that seems to become more and more common each year, what are your thoughts on Super Bowl Sunday, having essentially turned itself into an E3-like event for movie trailers in their respective studios? It's gotten to the point where they've started shadow-dropping movies. Cloverfield Paradox, which I saw and enjoyed for the most part, on Netflix to elevate hype. Anything in particular you're looking forward to? Yeah, so we talked about Han Solo. Mission Impossible was actually my favorite trailer from Super Bowl. I thought the Mission Impossible trailer. They just showed a quick version of that. The Infinity Wars 30-second bit was fun. Jurassic World, bleh, I'm just not into Jurassic World. Sorry, Don. Didn't like the last one. Don't think this one looks great. I'm out. Well, I don't know if there's any other ones. Maybe let me know, chat. My nose is on fire. I'm almost done. And finally, G-Man, sir. Easy Ally Super Bowl commercial when? We got it. You can dream. Maybe 100,000 goal. $100,000. That's all this cost, right? Once our Patreon is visibly making millions of dollars, maybe we can talk about it. Takeaways: Isotope RX6 program. Consider using Mixer for Sea of Thieves. Review subreddits. Visit, post, and make a Christmas Carol stream and card and album. What's up, everybody? I'm Brandon Jones. I'm blowing my nose. No regrets. Oh, the Westworld trailer. Oh, it was so good. Oh. I didn't really learn anything. I think Mission Impossible was still better, but yeah, Westworld. Oh, so excited. Trying to save a little money, and I just dumped HBO, actually, but I'm going to get them back. So I'm going to talk about 2 different things. One thing that we kind of talked about earlier for today's editorial. One thing we talked about earlier, the EZA Super Bowl commercial would just be a Sophie Supercut, says M-Bun. That would be brilliant. Brilliant. One thing that I really want to do, that's a goal of mine for not only 2018, but for the future of Easy Allies. And we're on our way to doing it. It's just taking a long time because we do a lot of stuff. Apologies. And that is making stuff. I had an eye-opening moment at making stuff that other people want to watch. I think we make stuff that our patrons want to watch. I think we make stuff that our audience that we know wants to watch. I think as crazy as we get. Woo! And again. Live sneezes. There you go. I'm so glad. You're probably so happy you listened to the audio version of this. Ah, I almost made it to the whole thing. I think reviews is probably the most general that we get. As far as making stuff that people can consume that don't know Easy Allies. That they can come across and be like, oh, what's this? A review of a thing? Cool. You know, like they don't know me. They don't know Kyle or Blood or, you know, Huber or anybody. They just know that they like reviews. And maybe they're familiar with the name. Maybe they like our color scheme. But, like, that's as much as they experience Easy Allies. Whereas to get into Frame Trap, to get into the podcast, to get into amateur, you know, Gundam buildings, like, I think that is more for our core base. More for people that just like to hang around us and will watch us, you know, pretty much do anything. And so I want to be able to do that. And I also... Yeah, I know. Let's see, look. It doesn't... When you hit it, it blinks. And I'm assuming you can still hear me, right? Because it's not blinking. And I think it's because of the way it's powered. I think if we did USB, I would be able to mute it from here. But, yeah, so... You can still hear me, right? Let me know if you can't hear me. I want to start producing stuff. Game Sleuth is an example of something. If Game Sleuth was... If we could commit to a monthly schedule, which we cannot... then I think Game Sleuth would be a really good lightning rod, would be a really good way. I don't know if lightning rod was a good example there. I'm getting woozy. Would be a good way to usher in people. Come to Easy Allies. Oh, look at this. Look at the bright lights of Easy Allies. Box Peak, I think, is the absolute best example of that. I think Box Peak is the biggest effort we have made so far in Easy Allies to create something that you do not need to know any of us. You do not need to be in on any of the inside jokes. You can just enjoy Box Peak. And hopefully that will get a lot of people, banana, hopefully get a lot of people into what we're doing. So, and I just want to let you know that's part of my morale, is being excited about that, being excited about doubling down on those things, being excited about, via the conversations we've been having recently, knowing what is good and what is good to serve for our already existing Twitch and YouTube and Patreon community, and things that we can produce that will bring new people in, and ways that we can focus on those to promote those and get those out in front of more eyeballs. So, not really an editorial, because we kind of talked about a lot of that earlier, the things that I'm excited about. But that is something that's been on my mind a lot lately. And I want to bring up something else that I think I might have sounded, I'm surprised there hasn't really been any backlash, because I've said some things on Cup of Jones have been like, I was very delicate with how I said that. And they were people saying, hey, your podcasts don't sound great. Your podcasts are quiet. They don't sound as good as other podcasts. Where the red light in the back go, the lighting isn't as good as it could be. I'm actually, I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't want to mess around with the settings inside the camera because we shuffle the camera around to so many different things. But I'm trying a lighter light setup, which I think looks a little bit better. You don't have like the little hot spots on my forehead or on my arms with the lights now. So I might even dip it a little bit more. I think that's the biggest culprit. That's just pointing right at me. Whoa! I just stared right at it. Now I'm blind. But I can't tell you exactly what our budget is for Easy Allies. I can't just give you that number. I wish I could. I wish this operated that way. We chose, unlike some Patreons on Patreon, to put our dollar amount out there because it is so closely tied to our financial goals. Because we really have not been able to set up a lot of crazy sponsorship deals. We really have not been able to. We're not approaching investors. You know what I mean? Like we really view Patreon as our sole source of investment, and so we are focused on making you happy. It's why I do the show. It's why I want to communicate with you. It's why I want to tell you things first and foremost. Why I trust you with many of our secrets, our faithful patrons here. But what I can tell you is that money is tight. Nothing's changed financially. It's just something that I don't think you hear me say that often. And the thing is, it's not tight in a sense of like, we really can't do anything exciting. We can do a lot of exciting things. We're planning a lot of exciting things for this year. We have our anniversary coming up. There are definitely trips that we can spend. We're incorporating ourselves, which is not cheap. And, you know, Easy Living's coming back. E3, we're going to be doing big things that we didn't do last year. It's just they're all planned. And as we go through Easy Allies, we get better at doing that farther in advance, of planning things. Granted, all the details are not available on the meet and greet yet, so, or on our second anniversary, so that is an exception. But we have so many things financially planned for this year, so many expenses that we know we're going to make, so many little pockets of $300 here, $500 there, $3,000 there, that there's not a lot of wiggle room in our budget. Our budget's just kind of locked for 2018 because we've been doing this long enough to know what we can do and what we want to do and what we can get done in a year. There's a little, that's a little heater? What? Lag? Oh no. Are we back? Are we good? Does everything sound okay? Does it look okay? I'm not going to go into this emotional editorial if things are not weird. There was a small buffer. We're not dropping frames. Am I losing internet? Are you with me? Hello? We're cool. Okay. Are you in? Are you out? I'll call again later. It was for a second. Okay, good. Yeah, and I lost chat stopped for a little bit. Let's get to the point, everybody. I don't want you to be frustrated, and I don't want to, if somebody's like, hey, try this software, try this thing, and it'll make everything sound better. I don't want to be flippant about like, yeah, maybe. I will if I feel like it. Like, of course, thank you so much. I mean, obviously, for technically approaching everything that we do, I've got a couple emails, some pretty serious emails from people that did like took frames of our shows and compared them to other things and said, you know, here's technically ways that you can improve it. We will be making investments in the near and far future to technically improve Easy Allies. We will also be spending money on things that have absolutely nothing to do with tech. We got to buy food when we go to Easy Living. You know, we need that money. We got to put that money aside and have that money ready so we can do that, because that was such a blast. I've been thinking about Easy Living a lot, and it's so far away. It'll probably be at the end of summer, and so. So I just want to say I'm sorry, I guess, for possibly being short when it comes to those technical discussions, for possibly seeming unwilling to spend money on things or not flexible and taking a little money here. Even like $100 in any given month of 2018 has to be accounted for and has to be taken away from something else, because we know typically how much money we're going to spend. And so that's the big question that we're at. And I think kind of where we will kind of swim out to different waters in 2018 is really exploring, okay, everything seems to be pretty locked down. With year one, it was, okay, let's lock these shows down. With year two, it's like, okay, these shows are locked down, so starting with our anniversary, what kind of weird events can we do outside of the normal stuff that we usually cover in the shows that we usually produce? And in our third year of operation, the big question is, how can we grow this Patreon outside of that? How can we then take time away from things that we're doing and, you know, handing off the next retrospective to Don or Ian to make sure it gets done in a timely fashion, and putting different people in charge of things that they haven't been in charge of before, in the interest of having people focused on specific stuff that we want to get done, and thinking of fun ways to surprise you. That we got to spend money on that, and we can't talk about it, which sucks. We take your money, we put it somewhere else, we don't tell you where it is, and then down the road, hopefully you get surprised. So yeah, there we go. That is a little update on financially where we're at Easy Allies. But well, the thing that's great, and we talked about hitting that 49K goal and torturing Bossman into finishing Final Bossman. But we dipped at the beginning of February, but we are back up close to 42K again, and so we're in a really nice consistent spot that I don't want to take for granted, but allows us to focus on some things and maybe not appear as desperate as, you know, wanting to hit specific goals or wanting to do a Patreon drive or wanting to do chariot events, not chariot events. Those would be cool. Write that down. Charity events, focusing on ways to bring that number up. And it will be something you will see from us this year. We will have drives. We will have charity events. But maybe not before our anniversary. We'll be focusing on different stuff. So the focusing on different stuff lasts for weeks. And maybe that's kind of the core of what I'm getting at, is this stuff takes time. And even though I'm feeling that passage of time differently now that we're doing Cup of Jones weekly, where I thought this was going to be an hour-long episode, but it is almost an hour and a half now. So I'm going to wrap things up. Hi, I'm Brandon Jones. You are either on Patreon or YouTube. We also got a Twitch. You can go to easyallies.com. You can see all of the fun streams and stuff like that we're going to be doing and projects that we're working on. And don't forget your fiduciary duties. Yeah, fiduciary duties are first and foremost. And then anything outside of that, anything weird, anything new and experimental is not a fiduciary duty. It's second tier. But we will get to that second tier, and it will be glorious. I'm definitely getting woozy. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I will be back next Tuesday with another Cup of Jones. And like I said, we got some shoots today. We have solidified winning by 3 votes, it looks like, even though the percentage is the same. First Fancy 15 Dreamcast games tonight, 6 p.m., twitch.tv/EasyAllies group stream. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. See you then. We're not going to mess it up this time. We're going to nail it. Cheers.